So guys, thank you so much for coming back on the show. It's been fucking ages since we've chatted. And last time I asked you the immortal question, what sandwich would you be if you could be a sandwich? So I'm not going to ask you anything like that this time. Instead, I'm going to ask you a little bit more just to get into your psyche, into your mind. And that is, if you had a time machine that could take you anywhere in the world at any time in human history or prehistory, if you wanted to see the dinosaurs, where in history would you most like to go first?
See, I remember last time when we did this, you asked me about the sandwich. I had to go first, and I was put on the spot loads, and I didn't know what to say. So this time, Christian's going to go first, and I'm going to get a bit of mental time.
Okay, if so, that's quite a good question. To be fair, I think I would go back to like early 90s, maybe late 80s, but only if I could go back with the band. Because I feel like if we were around then, we'd probably have a fat record deal by now and all have houses in Beverly Hills. So if I could take myself and the band back, it'd be like late 80s, sort of forming the band then, and then sort of blowing up through the 90s and ending up in in Beverly Hills with loads of gold records on the wall. That'd be where I'd go.
The music industry on cheat mode.
Exactly. You got it.
I like the hustle. What about you, Jack?
Thinking about it, I think I'd go back as far as like the 60s, just because I think since the 60s and up until now, there's been so much change in the world in terms of like colour TV, electric guitars, and all the different sort of like music eras as well. So you've got like, like rock and roll, disco, punk. And I'd love to have lived through like each era just to like experience the world at that time. Whereas now you don't sort of really see them movements anymore. So I think it'd be sick just to like live through every movement. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you are completely right. You can sort of well, I mean, people say the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, etc., and you know exactly the vibe they're talking about. But if you say like the 2000s, 2010s, 2020s, it's kind of, it's all kind of a bit interchangeable, really. Like the only difference is it's like going from like CD to MP3 and something like that. And it's just like, that's not as sexy as going from like the 60s and 70s and the 80s. So yeah, no, I completely get you. I was thinking about this because this is the first time I've asked this question because you're the first guys I've interviewed this year. And I was thinking for myself, I'd probably go back, and it's really nerdy, to Roswell 1947 because I want to know if aliens actually did crash there that time.
Mate, you're speaking my language there, mate, because ask anyone in my band or in my family, they'll tell you I'm a complete nerd when it comes to like UFO information and conspiracies and all that. So that's a really good one. That probably would be better than the one I said originally. So I believe there was a UFO there that day, and I believe there was bodies on it as well. So
there has to. I don't want us to get too sidetracked because I've looked into it. I'm pretty convinced something happened. But your first idea was more financially sensible. So let's stick with breaking the music industry in the 90s. But anyway, obviously, going back to more recent history, it's been a long time since we chatted. How has the past sort of 2 years been for you guys?
I think in terms of the band, we've actually really kept like really productive, man. Like we just sort of made an agreement together that we'd stay as productive as possible. Obviously through that lockdown, which was proper wank, like we couldn't see each other, but like we just ended up writing another record. So like we just did everything remotely and got together safely when we could. But yeah, like as we were going through that, we was kind of seeing other bands like break up and stuff like that. So we were like, now like we need to sort of keep productive and do as much as we can. So yeah, we just sort of got our heads together and just started writing again, which was really cool. And then like last year we started recording our second record, and then we did like a big tour in the summer with Social D, and then sort of over the winter into this new year, we've just been sort of adding more stuff on the new record and getting it mixed and all that kind of stuff, and just planning for this year really. So yeah, like in terms of the band, it's been really productive. I think like our private lives took a bit of a hit with like our jobs and all that kind of stuff, because me and Christian have got our own businesses, so and we work for ourselves. So that was quite a bit of a change. But I think, but yeah, man, I'm just trying to stay as positive as possible. And yeah, hopefully with this new record, everyone's going to hear what we've been up to.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, speaking of the tour with Social Distortion, I mean, first of all, I need to know stories, but secondly, and most importantly, tell me about the dressing room in Germany with the sauna in it, because I didn't know something like that existed. But
yeah,
come on.
well, neither did we. To be fair, it's funny actually. Yeah, because Social Distortion in Europe, they're huge, man. And I think like on the mainland in Europe, they sort of, I think the people there care more for guitar music than they do maybe in the UK. So some of the venues we were playing were obviously huge. Like we pulled up to that one in Hamburg, and like you sort of drive into the arena. So if you imagine like you've been to an arena, you got a huge arena. It's like however many seats, but we actually had to drive into the building up behind the stage, whereas normally you're like struggling for parking outside a small club or whatever and worried about getting a parking ticket. So we drove in, and all of a sudden it just sort of opened out in front of us, and we were like, oh my God, look, this is insane. And we started loading all our gear out. We were like, where's our dressing room? And obviously it's like a maze, so you're walking down all these corridors. We get to the dressing room, we open it, and it's like, it genuinely is like bigger than the ground floor of my house. And I was like, oh my God. And we've got a sauna and like a massage room as well. Not with a masseuse in it or anything, but there was a massage table waiting. But yeah, so we made it a point of after we played, we all got undressed and just ran into the sauna. There was a lot of naked dudes running around after that show.
What's like being in a band without, enjoying a bit of sweat time in a sauna? So
that's
incredible.
It reminded me of like I'm a massive football fan, like literally like a professional football like club's dressing room. It was mad. There was all like, we all had our own like corner, and we were like just shouting at each other from each corner. We were like nowhere near each other. We had all of our clothes like hanging up, and like all of our friends come in there and stuff. It was wicked, to be fair.
That's incredible. But as much as I think we had a little bit of chat about football last time, this season as a West Ham fan, football doesn't exist to me this year. So just do not even go there. Do not even go there.
Are you a Moyes in or Moyes out?
I'm Moisey out. I think at this point. Ooh. I think he's been a great servant for us. He's been really good, but I think it's got to that point where I think the other teams in the league have just figured us out, and I don't think he's got a plan B. And I think that's the problem, is that teams now know how to work around us. So I think we need some fresh blood. I think there's talk, and maybe this is just ambitious like press talk, of us potentially getting Pochettino. And if we got him, I'd say, all right, Moisey, step to the side. But we'll see. As long as we stay up, that's all I care about now. That's all I care about. So we shall see. Who do you guys support again? I've forgotten.
I'm a Villa fan.
I'm West Brom. I did see in the press as well, because we've got a new manager, and I think he's won like 11 out of 12 games or something like ridiculous since he's come in. But I did see that West Ham were sniffing if Moyes was to go, they'd look at Carlos Corberán. So I hope that's not the case. I'm hoping, like usual, like the usual thing West Ham do, they sort of go big, don't they? They try to go big. So I'm hoping they do that and stay away from my guy.
Well, we shall wait and see. But frankly, I don't care who they get as long as they don't go down. That's my main thing. But anyway, football doesn't exist. I tell you what does exist is the fact that you are releasing. Actually, no. Before we get to that point, you mentioned Hamburg. Did you get to explore much of Hamburg? Because that's my favourite city in Europe. Yeah, we did, man. We had a few days off there, didn't we, Jack? From what I remember. There was a
I didn't I flew home actually after the Hamburg show. So I flew home for a few days, so I didn't get to see it that much, but the guys told me it was like incredible. And I've just bought tickets actually to see the Black Keys in June in Hamburg.
Oh, amazing.
So so I'm going to get like a few days there, so I'm looking forward to it, man.
There's a really cool from some of the days off we had there, this was when Jack was at home, there's like a really cool bar. It's like a chain bar, I think, in Germany called Alex. but it's right on like the lake in the middle of Hamburg. And there was, I think, like 2 nights with like me and the other touring party and the other members up still there. We just sat on this lake in this bar, just drinking pina coladas. So it was really good memories, to be fair.
That's rock and roll. No, yeah. I went 2019 again with work, and it was pretty good because we ended up on the Reaper Barn, which is like apparently where most of like the pubs and the clubs are. Apparently it's where the Beatles had a residency back in the 60s before they like really exploded. And it's just amazing because like you just go from like literally like the most mainstream sort of like theatre shows, like they got Tina Turner on one side of the road, and then the other side of the road is just like a brothel, and it's just so weird. It's so weird that you literally on the same road you can go from one thing to the other, and it's just like Germany. But if you do go again, it's like the most geeky nerdiest thing, but they've got the biggest model railway set in the world in Hamburg. It's freaking amazing. It goes over 3 stories. It's like a big warehouse, but just like you look like you're a giant going through this world of model trains, and that made me laugh as well. But but anyway, enough about, and also the chocolate, enough about my travel stories. More interestingly, you guys, as you said, have been real busy with the music. At the end of last year, you released Isolation Summer, and you got your new single Spark dropping at the end of the month. I've been lucky enough to listen to the single coming out, and it's an absolute banger. I speak no lie. But is this sort of a flavour of sort of the way the new album is going to go with these tracks?
It's
weird. It's a bit of a one-off in its Sparks. It's like it's that sort of. It's a bit of a like a. It's like a slower tempo to the record. Like this record, it's a lot quicker than Primary Colours. Like there's a lot more sort of quicker songs on there. But with Spark, it sort of stands on its own really, because it's a little bit more like dirtier, and it's got like different, like more sort of different influences for this song. And we kind of want to like throw people off a bit by releasing it quite early. And yeah, man, we've done like a video for it and everything. It's all sort of ready to go, but it's exciting for us. It's a little bit, well, it is different to what we've released before. But yeah, man.
I feel like as well, like Isolation Summer. So as Jack mentioned earlier, we started sort of writing this record during the very first wave of COVID. So we were all at home, and Isolation Summer was the first demo Jack sent across as like a garage band file, and it was originally called Jack in the Box. And he said to us, here you go, guys. This is an idea I've got. Add all your parts to it. See what we can come up with. So Spark was a lot later on down the line when it would come to making new songs for the record. But we knew that we were going to do a second record, and we were sort of, I think we probably got about 15 or 16 songs. There's some like songs that we've still got recorded as demos that didn't sort of get properly recorded for the sound. But Spark was the one that stood out to me the most when Jack started playing it at the rehearsal spot. By this point, I think the restrictions were lifted and we could go back to our lockup and play together. And I remember Jack playing it, and straight away I just had like this vision in my head with the lyrics and everything. And I said to the boys straight away, I said, this is my favourite song that we've ever done, and one of my favourite songs in general. Like I love the song that much. But it does stand alone, but I think the record is quite, I hate sounding like all pretentious and stuff about it, but the record is like that in itself. Like all the songs are sort of different. Like Isolation Summer is probably the poppiest song really. It's more like a pop punk song, so to speak, whereas Spark is like a big sort of brash rock and roll song. Sort of reminds me of like Oasis meets like 90s era, like Nimrod, Green Day. It's got like that sort of vibe to it. So it is a sort of taste of how the record is, because the record in itself, all the songs on it are sort of different from the next in a good way. They all still go together really well though. So I just cannot wait for people to hear it.
I think like in terms of like the record and giving like a flavour for the record, there's sort of a lot more production on this record in terms of like more instruments, and we had time to sort of figure out, like play with like different sounds and that kind of stuff. So like working with Tom Mitchell sort of opened our minds up to what we could use in the studio. Because we had like an old like Hammond organ that we got out and started using, and yeah, just little things like that we've sort of haven't sort of thought about before on how we can sort of thicken up the sound and make the songs a little bit more interesting. So I think, when people listen to Spark, they'll be like, shit, like they've really sort of gone to town on like the instrumentation and making like the songs have a little bit more like texture and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, man.
Awesome. How was it with this sort of extra scope in terms of the time and the resources that were available to you? Did you enjoy working with that extra freedom, or did you find that sometimes, because if you're anything like me, sometimes when there's too much around, like you end up, fussing over tiny little things, and ended up, it almost takes more time and more effort than if you only had, the four track recorder or something like that. Did you feel like it really benefited from that extra scope?
It's weird, mate, because we recorded the full record in February 2022. So we were booked in for 3 weeks, and we got all the songs done, but we knew that we had the Social Distortion tour coming up like 2 months later, and we knew that there was still, because we messed about with so many instruments in the studio, we knew that there was still more to add. So when we got back off the tour, the album actually tracking wise has only just been finished being tracked. We literally finished like last week, adding the last extra bits. So there's only a few songs that are mixed and mastered for the record. There's still like another 6 songs getting mixed and mastered as we speak. So it was great. Like it's brilliant. Like it's really fun having all those extra things to work with. Like a lot of the extra stuff we recorded ourselves at our room as well. But it does take a lot longer. But I think that's because we're not doing the band full time. Whereas if we were like a full time band and we didn't have jobs, we probably would have got it done a lot sooner. But the process has sort of dragged out. It's been good, but like as a creative person, like you also want your shit out there and you want it to be done. Do you know what I mean? So it's but it's going to be so worth it though.
It's been good to sort of like reflect on what we've done. So sometimes we'll add something to a song and think it's cool, and then a week later might go, oh, I don't know about that now. And we haven't got like annoyed with each other by changing things, because I think we've been a band for like 6 years now. So it's like we kind of know how each other tick and how each other work. And I think we changed our drummer. So Nathan has been with us now about 1.5 years, I think. But he's very sort of like, he's one of these guys who can play anything. So like as a writer, I can say to Nathan, I can like sort of like hum in like a melody, and within like a minute or so, he's got it on like a piano or got it on a different sound, like a saxophone or something. And it's been like quite a quick process to get like our ideas down for this record, which personally I've really enjoyed, because you can get your ideas, in and out really quick. And I think even for like the other guys as well in the band, like Chino, our guitar player, like he's played what was that instrument he played on?
The pedal steel.
The pedal steel, and like that's something I didn't even know he could play, and he just got it out and started playing him, and like that sounds incredible. That needs to get on the record. So like so yeah, it has been quite a long process, longer than what we sort of thought it was going to be. But I think when it comes to releasing it and sort of getting the songs out, it'll be worth it, man.
For sure. And speaking of worth the wait, is there a provisional time this year when you think it might drop? Is there anything you can sort of give us away now?
I really want to be able to say like in the summer, but it's because vinyl and everything takes so long to get pressed these days. We're still waiting on like I want to say summer, but it'll probably be like September time, I'm hoping, at the latest.
Yeah. And I think that we're sort of going to focus on getting some like singles out quite quick after each other. So once Spark is out next week, we're sort of planning on within a month to 2 months getting another single out and sort of churning out singles quite quick. Because, we're dead keen just to get our music out now instead of sort of waiting on it and maybe trying to send it off to different, like labels and stuff. We just want to start getting music out and touring as much as we can as well.
Absolutely. Make 2023 the year of Lovebreakers. And in that regard, it is pretty much only is it about a week or 2 weeks since you start your UK tour, hitting up a few cities around the country. This is with oh God, I've got it written down. Reminders, sorry. Go figure. And you guys must be so hyped for that after everything else that you've released recently, trying to get it out on the road.
Yeah, man, it's going to be good. It's our first sort of go at a little head sort of, well, it's co-headline with Reminders. So we're going out, like, obviously the Social Distortion tour was one thing. This is going to be obviously a complete different kettle of fish, but I'm really, looking forward to it. I love the really small shows. So yeah, man, can't wait. Just want to play, just desperate to play after being locked up for like a year and a half with COVID. It's just like, any chance we get to play, we just want to sort of take it with both hands. So yeah,
for sure. I mean, I was going to say, how do you find the more intimate shows compared to the stuff you've been playing with Social Distortion? Do you prefer it when it's like nice and sweaty and intimate like that?
I think it varies. Like we'll play anywhere. We'll play in someone's bathroom if they wanted us to play there, and still enjoy it. I think. It's just a different experience. Like when you play on those bigger venues and bigger stages, it's just it's just different, but it's still amazing. And then like when we play like smaller shows as well, obviously there's a bit more of a personal vibe to it, and you get to talk to more people like after the show and stuff and before the show. So it's just different experiences. But I think we appreciate the big stuff and the small stuff, and I think we'll always be like that. I think all the bands that we love still play like club shows and arenas. So like, I think if you love it, you'll play anywhere.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the thing, is that even as a fan of live music, they're almost two different kettles of fish, but I still love them both equally, because you can get all of the pomp and circumstance or the stage show with a massive arena, but at the same time there's still nothing quite like being able to like literally touch the stage as well. So I am. That's it, man. I'm real excited to see what you guys do this year, and I'm guessing this isn't it in terms of live music. Have you got plans for later this year for more shows as well?
Hopefully, yeah. We're sort of working on all that at the minute. It's we're just working really, really hard. It seems like every band is scrambling to get stuff booked for those, so it makes it a little bit harder because everything seems to be quite congested. But we're doing everything we can to sort of make sure that we're out as much as possible, because otherwise we go a bit stir crazy.
I know that feeling. I haven't been to a gig even as a punter for about like 3 months now, and I'm itching just to see any live music. It sucks, but I blame that on the government for forcing all these rail strikes, meaning it's harder to get up to venues. But hey, we move. But fellas, that is it for the questions that I've got. I'm afraid I used up most of my stupid ones last time around, so all that's left for me to say this time is thank you so much for your time, and I cannot wait to see what you guys get up to this year.
Thank you so much, dude.
Thanks, man.
Cheers, Tom.
Anytime.
Thanks for having us, man.